My name is Dr. Tuomasjukka. I work at the European Forest Institute. When it comes to CircHive, I mainly work on methods, on indicators, but also on the BEEHive and the connection to the companies. The road of sustainability consideration has evolved over time. They have evolved from voluntary to more and more regulatory frameworks, which still leaves room for both. The measures, the frameworks, the indicators got better, but also the demand from both policy and from the market side got more and more stringent, that we now have several policies that demand at least some level of reporting on biodiversity that takes into account the do no significant harm principle. Most famously known is probably the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, the EU regulation on sustainable finance, shortly known as the EU taxonomy, and most recently the nature restoration law. And also companies in that realm looked more into how they can better report on their own voluntary efforts with corporate social responsibility reporting, the Global Reporting Initiative, and at the same time also the Ministerial Conference on the Protection of Forests, which is now better known as Forest Europe, has evolved the processes on the regular reporting on biodiversity. What is a criteria and what is an indicator? A criteria is a description of a certain what you want to measure, a bigger framework, while the indicator is a very specific measure that you can measure, which gives an indication towards the development. So an indicator is always something to stand for something bigger. When we talk about biodiversity, it's a very big framework. So when we talk about indicators, those indicators are proxies for the whole. They do not cover the entirety, but it's the closest approximation to give information on how biodiversity in general terms is doing. The EU taxonomy has got several dimensions for sustainable finance that are taken into account. However, specifically for forests, there are no indicators as part of the taxonomy identified as of yet. If you look at Forest Europe, there is a number of 10 indicators. There is the diversity of tree species, the regeneration, like natural regeneration or replanting, the naturalness of the forest in terms of structure, introduced tree species, deadwood is one of the oldest and most important indicators, the genetic resource of forest fragmentation, which goes more to the land use connectivity, threatened forest species, the amount of protected forests, and common forest bird species as a proxy for further biodiversity. These indicators you will see a lot in different frameworks coming time and time again. Of course, now when we talk about companies who are very much involved in the project, for them that's a lot of data collection. Companies' own forests are much easier to take care of data collection, like it is for certification, for FSC or PFC. For forests or land use forms along the value chain that is not under ownerships, it gets a bit more tricky to get the same information. But those indicators are one of the most likely ones to give information on biodiversity for forests. That very much depends on where in the journey the companies are and what their role and goals are. We have in the project some companies which are more at the beginning of the journey. There's companies who already have very well established value chain approaches, keeping also in mind that there is a multitude of different methods to assess biodiversity. I've been talking about indicators for measurement, but that's only part of the whole framework. So it really depends on what the precise purpose requirement in question is and who is asking for it. Is it as part of the company's philosophy and strategy? Is it a requirement for operation? Is it a requirement from the market or from the stakeholders or customers?